In the year 2000, as the world was holding its breath over the Y2K bug, the internet was a different place. A digital frontier of slow connections and glowing text on dark screens. It was on these early internet forums that a new user began to post. His name, he said, was John Titor, and he claimed to be a time traveler. He wasn't a tourist. He was a soldier from the year 2036, sent back to our time on a critical mission. His objective? To retrieve an IBM 5100, an early portable computer from 1975. He claimed it was needed to debug a massive computer bug in his own time, a Unix bug that would have its roots in the year 2038. For 4 months, from November 2000 to March 2001, John Titor engaged with a small community of users online. He answered their questions. He described his world. He shared grainy photos of his time machine and even posted pages from its technical manual. He painted a grim picture of the future, a future ravaged by a second American Civil War, followed by a brief but devastating World War III that would leave billions dead and the world's great cities in ruins. He was, he said, here to warn us. And then, in the spring of 2001, he announced his mission was complete. He posted his final message, wished everyone well, and vanished forever, leaving behind one of the internet's most enduring and terrifying legends. Was John Titor a real time traveler, a clever hoaxer, or something else entirely? For 2 decades, investigators have tried to find the truth. Now, we have a new kind of detective. I have fed every single one of Titor's original forum posts, his technical diagrams, and the last 20 years of our history into an AI to see if the story holds up.
Initializing analysis. Processing all forum posts by user timetravel_0, attributed to John Titor. Cross-referencing all specific predictions, scientific claims, and historical assertions against the verified timeline from 2001 to the present day. Objective: determine the probability of authenticity.
The first thing I asked the AI to analyze were John's specific, testable predictions. These are the core of his claim. In 2001, he laid out a clear timeline of coming events. He predicted that a civil war would break out in the United States, starting in 2004, escalating from a civil unrest event and growing into a full conflict by 2008 that would split the country into 5 separate factions. He stated the war would end in 2015. I asked the AI for its analysis.
Analysis. This prediction is a definitive failure. No event matching the description of a second American Civil War occurred within the specified 2004 to 2015 timeframe. While the United States has experienced significant political polarization and civil unrest, it has not escalated to the level of armed conflict and governmental fracture described.
Titor also predicted a global war. He claimed that in 2015, Russia would launch a nuclear strike against the major cities of the United States, China, and Europe, triggering a brief but catastrophic World War III.
Analysis. This prediction is a definitive failure. No nuclear exchange occurred in 2015. Global tensions exist, but a full-scale nuclear conflict as described has not materialized.
But not all of his predictions were so clear-cut. Some were eerily prescient. He warned of a coming pandemic and spoke of a disease that would spread through the world, a mad cow-like disease that would even infect humans. Years later, CJD, the human form of mad cow disease, became a major international health crisis. He also spoke about the core concepts behind the Large Hadron Collider at CERN, years before it was publicly discussed in detail. So how could he be so wrong about the biggest events, but so right about smaller, more obscure details? This is where the AI's analysis became truly unsettling. It began to analyze the central reason for Titor's mission, the IBM 5100. Titor claimed this specific, obscure computer was needed in 2036 because it had a unique, undocumented feature that allowed it to read and debug code from multiple legacy computer languages, including APL and BASIC. At the time, this was dismissed as nonsense.
Analysis. This claim is surprisingly accurate. The IBM 5100 did, in fact, possess a unique hardware emulation layer that is not widely documented, but has been confirmed by the original IBM engineers, including Bob Dubke. This feature allowed it to interface with and debug mainframe code. For a user in the year 2000 to know this highly obscure technical detail is a statistical anomaly.
An anomaly. The AI had found a crack in the case, a detail that a random person in the year 2000 would have had almost no way of knowing. Then, the AI turned its attention to the physics. Titor described his time machine, the C204 gravity distortion unit, in great detail. He claimed it worked by creating two micro-singularities, manipulating their gravity, and pulling the user through space-time onto a different world line. This is the core of his explanation for why his predictions didn't come true. He claimed that by simply being here, he had already altered our timeline, creating a new one, a new world line, that is now slightly different from the one he came from. In his timeline, the Civil War happened. In ours, it didn't. I asked the AI to analyze this claim. Is it just a convenient excuse, or is it based in real science?
Analysis. The many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics is a valid and widely discussed theoretical framework. It posits that every quantum measurement creates a split in the universe, resulting in an infinite number of parallel timelines, or world lines. Titor's explanation for the failed predictions is therefore consistent with established, albeit highly theoretical, physics. His description of using Kerr singularities is also theoretically plausible, though it would require a level of energy and engineering far beyond current human capability.
So we are left with an impossible contradiction. A man who got the biggest predictions demonstrably wrong, but who understood obscure computer architecture and theoretical physics in a way that seems far ahead of his time. A story that feels like a hoax, but a hoax with a level of scientific and technical detail that is, as the AI called it, a statistical anomaly. I asked the AI for its final verdict. Stripping away the emotion and the legend, what is the most logical conclusion to the story of John Titor?
The John Titor phenomenon represents a complex, multi-layered narrative. The definitive failure of his major, falsifiable predictions makes the probability of him being a literal time traveler from our specific future exceedingly low. However, his advanced and often accurate understanding of obscure technical and scientific concepts makes the probability of him being an ordinary, uninformed hoaxer also low. The most logical conclusion is that the John Titor identity was created by one or more individuals with a deep, expert-level knowledge of computer science and theoretical physics, and a talent for creative writing. The narrative was likely constructed as a thought experiment, a piece of speculative fiction designed to explore the social and political anxieties of the early 21st century.
A thought experiment, a story so compelling, so detailed, that it took on a life of its own. But even if John Titor wasn't real, his warnings, his vision of a fractured and chaotic future, feel more relevant today than they did 20 years ago. Perhaps that was the point, not to predict a single inevitable future, but to show us a possible one, a dark path that we still have the choice to avoid. And it leaves you with one final, haunting thought. Even if he wasn't real, what if he was right? The AI has shown us its logical conclusion for one of the internet's greatest mysteries. But the same intelligence that can debunk a time traveler can also be used to analyze our own future. The same logic that can find the cracks in a story can also be used to profile a perfect crime. On this channel, we will continue to ask the AI to show us both the light of our possible futures and the shadows of our unsolved pasts. There are still so many files to open. If you're ready for the journey, subscribe now and join the investigation.